Welcome to Simply Debbie Sue's Southern Whispers. Step into a world where front porches hold secrets, faith carries folks through the hardest days, and the mountains whisper stories only the heart can hear. I invite you into tender moments, gentle humor, and the kind of Southern warmth that feels just like home. Welcome in, friends. I hope your Friday's going good so far. So let's just get into the introduction of this story. In every small southern town, there's always one voice that carries further than it should. Sometimes it's a church bell, and sometimes it's a woman who can't help but pass along every scrap of talk she hears. But every now and then, the Lord sends someone unexpected to soften a hardened habit, and often that someone is a child with a heart wide open and a wisdom far beyond her years. This is the story of little Macy Ann, and how her gentle courage helped a woman named Miss Patty Lou mend her ways and rediscover the sweetness of speaking life instead of stirring trouble. This story is called Kindness Speaks Louder Than Gossip. Miss Patty Lou Jenkins had a voice that could outrun a hound dog, and a habit of sharing news that wasn't hers to share. Folks said she didn't mean harm. She just liked to keep the air stirred. But stirred air can turn into a storm, and lately, Patty Lou's words had left more than a few hurt feelings drifting around town like dust. By early summer, folks had started crossing the street when they saw Patty Lou coming, not out of meanness, just out of weariness. She'd repeat things she overheard at the Piggly Wiggly, things whispered in a church hallway, things said in confidence over casseroles, and every time she passed a story along, it grew a little taller, a little wider, and a little more tangled. Macy Ann, only 8 years old and tender as a buttercup, lived 2 houses down. She'd heard her mama say more than once, "Bless Patty Lou's heart, she just hasn't learned the weight of her own words." Macy Ann didn't fully understand, but she knew one thing. Miss Patty Lou always looked a little lonely, even when she was talking a mile a minute. One warm Tuesday morning, Macy Ann was skipping down the sidewalk with a basket of wildflowers she picked for the ladies at church. The sun was soft, the air smelled like honeysuckle, and her braids bounced with every step. When she passed Miss Patty Lou's porch, she saw the woman sitting there with her elbows on her knees, looking troubled. Patty Lou's usual spark was gone. Her eyes were red, and her coffee sat untouched. "Morning, Miss Patty Lou," Macy Ann chirped, stopping at the bottom step. Patty Lou looked up, surprised. "Well, hey there, sugar. You're up early." Macy Ann held out a single daisy. "This one's for you." Patty Lou blinked. "For me? Why?" "Because daisies make folks feel better," Macy Ann said simply. "Mama says when people feel better, they talk better." Patty Lou's mouth fell open just a little. "Talk better?" Macy Ann nodded. "Uh-huh. Mama says words are like seeds. If you plant mean ones, you get weeds. If you plant kind ones, you get flowers." Patty Lou stared at that daisy like it held the secrets of heaven. "Is that what your mama says?" "No, ma'am," Macy Ann corrected softly. "It's what I say." Something in Patty Lou's chest gave a little tug, the kind that comes when truth arrives gentle, not sharp. She swallowed hard. "Macy Ann, have I been planting weeds?" Macy Ann didn't scold. She didn't lecture. She just stepped up one stair and placed a daisy in Patty Lou's hand. "Everybody plants weeds sometimes," she said, "but you can start planting flowers today." Patty Lou felt her eyes sting. "I reckon I've hurt some folks." Macy Ann nodded again, but her smile was warm. "Then you can help 'em heal. You're real good at talking, Miss Patty Lou. Maybe you can use your talking to make folks feel better instead of worse." Patty Lou let out a shaky breath. "You think I can?" "I know you can," Macy Ann said. "You just needed someone to give you a flower." That afternoon, Patty Lou baked a peach cobbler, her best recipe, and carried it to Miss Hensley, the woman she accidentally embarrassed at church the week before. She stood on the porch for a long moment before knocking, her hands trembling. When Miss Hensley opened the door, Patty Lou blurted, "I'm sorry. I talked too much. I hurt you. I'm trying to do better." Miss Hensley blinked, surprised, then softened. "Come on in, Patty Lou. Let's talk." It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy, but it was a start. Over the next few weeks, Patty Lou tried something new. When she felt a juicy piece of gossip bubbling up, she'd stop and ask herself, "Is this a weed or a flower?" Sometimes she slipped. Old habits die slow. But each time she caught herself. She'd remember Macy Ann's tiny hand placing that daisy in hers, and slowly, almost shyly, she began planning kindness instead. She complimented folks more. She listened more. She asked how she could help instead of what she could repeat. Folks noticed. The air around town felt lighter. Conversations felt safer. And Patty Lou felt something she hadn't felt in years: peace. Every Sunday, Patty Lou wore a daisy pin to her dress, a reminder of the little girl who helped her mend her ways with nothing more than a flower and a heart full of grace. And Macy Ann, she'd smile every time she saw it, knowing she helped plant something beautiful in a place that needed it. So the reflection of this week's story is: sometimes the biggest changes in a person's life come from the smallest voices. Macy Ann didn't shame Patty Lou or call her out. She simply offered kindness. And kindness has a way of slipping past defenses and settling right into the heart. This story reminds us that words carry weight even when spoken lightly. Grace can guide someone home even when they've wandered into hurtful habits. A child's innocence can teach grown folks lessons they forgot they needed. And most of all, it reminds us that it's never too late to start planting flowers instead of weeds. I hope you enjoyed that story, and as always, come back next week for another one. May these stories that I have written wrap around you like a well-loved quilt. May they remind you that God is near, hope is steady, and joy often comes softly, like a whisper on a southern breeze.